For one last time tonight, I want to bring up Milan Homola, co-founder and executive director, to share a little bit more about the vision, dreams, and what the journey of compassion can look like for each of you during such a time as this. Let's welcome Milan Homola.
Thanks, Raj. Appreciate it. You know, I'm going to start this kind of vision point with just an assumption that we all feel the impacts of trying to live and breathe in the midst of two pandemics. One that's eating away at our physical sense of safety, and the other that's nagging at deeper soul questions of identity, history, social systems. But for such a time as this, the emotions of confusion and fear, they're palpable. Though often undiagnosed, they manifest themselves in our social media posts, our relationships, and all other arenas where human life ought to flourish. There are social pressures that are overwhelming each of us, and they so often go unnamed for such a time as this. There's a near rabid push for justice, but a lot of confusion about the source and the look of justice. I don't know about you, but sometimes it feels like my head is spinning, and I'm not sure how to handle all the inputs and the data points. It causes great confusion for me. It's in those moments that I've learned to stop, take a breath, and remember. Remember a foundational truth about justice and a critical strategy to walk it out. Both the truth and the strategy are realities that we aim to live out every day at Compassion Connect. Here's the truth. From Psalm 89, the psalmist writes this. It says, "Righteousness and justice are the foundation of your throne." That's God's throne. "Unfailing love and truth, they walk before you as attendants. Happy are those who hear the joyful call to worship, for they will walk in the light of your presence, Lord." You see, we live in confusing times, and what justice looks like is a point of debate. A world free from racism, a society that values life from conception onward, a world where all people are honored as having value and dignity because God created them as such. We find ourselves arguing about such things. But I believe the deeper question is, where does true justice come from? What's the root of justice? Because the root ought to help us navigate the way we walk out justice. As the psalmist tells us, righteousness and justice are the root or the foundation of God's throne. You see, He cares deeply about these matters that we face today. Therefore, we must care. And sometimes we get ahead of ourselves. We forget just how inadequate each of us are to dream up and craft justice on our own. We forget the appropriate starting place. You see, we live in a world that wants justice without the King of justice, a kingdom without the King. There is a throne, of that I'm convinced, but it's not my throne or your throne to sit upon, despite all our efforts to do so. You see, when we act as the definer of justice, we act as though we're on the throne. And in that case, even our best efforts will ultimately lead to treacherous kingdoms disguised in all forms of goodness. God sits upon the throne, and justice will flow through us as we humbly embrace that truth. And I guarantee it will be just, equitable, and right, because His throne is birthed from such places. Now that's the truth. Now a strategy to walk it out. You see, the people of God, they have an opportunity right now for such a time as this. In the midst of confusion, division, and apathy, and anxiety, we're invited to live lives of love, peace, and reconciling power. Now, one way that we can do this is live out Jesus' vision when He prayed, "By your love," or when He said, "By your love for one another, the world will know that we're followers of Him." He's the best version of justice. And I know with all my heart that oneness as a body, oneness as a community is the strategy that cannot be quarantined during these pandemics. When we practice this oneness, we're displaying grace, forgiveness, reconciliation, and mercy. I've yet to find a neighborhood that doesn't need to taste and see that kind of lifestyle. This is why Compassion Connect unites to serve, so that love and grace would pour out into our streets. This truth and this strategy, they've helped me on this confusing journey of late. Compassion Connect, it exists to help inspire and equip you along that journey as well. It's unity and compassion. Now, how do we do this at Compassion Connect? Just put simply, we gather, inspire, and equip leaders and communities at the neighborhood level. These are leaders in churches who humbly acknowledge they can't do it all by themselves in isolation. They want to work together. These are churches and communities who've laid down the pride of competition and self-made solve all problems. Self-made and solve all programs. We provide opportunities for volunteers to put their gifts and skills to work in their neighborhood while linking arms with others. We see churches and individuals everywhere, choosing unity over division and compassion over complacency. Now, what does it look like in action? Well, that's what you've been seeing tonight. But a brief summary, right? For nearly 15 years, we've been helping teams of churches and community members host compassion clinics in their own backyard. You got to see what that looked like in a great video tour. Now, how did we have to innovate with these communities in 2020? You've heard some of that. But immediately, we jumped in and pulled together neighborhood-sized Zoom calls for churches and leaders who were part of these clinics in different communities. We called them Be the Church calls. Our aim was to help them stay connected, to pray together and consider how to be proactive going forward in this crisis. I'm super proud of the team, how they've relaunched Compassion Clinics in a way that is safe, but also timely for those who are overlooked and forgotten in this shutdown. We've seen 2 clinics relaunch already with great celebration. Now, the Compassion Clinics, they have very specific needs that you can help contribute to tonight. Just $68.50 can sponsor one guest to receive medical, dental care, lunch at a Compassion Clinic. You're going to see these options on the screen. These are just ideas to spark your generosity. We know that we need new PPE. This is an added cost for the supplies. It's about $100 per clinic, so all of next year, maybe $3,000 to meet the safety needs and provide these essential supplies for the coming year. We need to add surgical handpieces to the dental supplies list, which would cost about $900. And you can even sponsor a mini clinic in a neighborhood, help them cover the costs that go beyond what those small churches can cover themselves. $680 to sponsor that. Now, you've heard about the clinics and the great giving opportunities there, the needs. Adorned in Grace. You saw an amazing testimony. You got to hear a great interview, a beautiful tour. For 10 years, we have a wonderful team that's been uniting people to battle sexual exploitation in creative, empowering ways. You've heard about the design studio mentoring model, the dress shops. This darkness, and it is a darkness, of sexual exploitation can only be battled by the united light of God's people who link arms and uphold His truth about the value and worth of each human being. This is more important than ever right now. Because of the ripple effects of COVID, isolation and internet use have increased, and these are some of the huge root causes of exploitation. They've been magnified and increased, and we need more churches and volunteers who will take a stand for the beauty and dignity of our young people who are targets of predators during this isolating time. You can help. There's some specific ways. You've already heard some examples. I'm going to share another one. This is a great one that I actually participated in. I just watched. But a group of design studio girls, they got to go to a horse therapy ranch. $200 can finance an outing where we take a group to the horse therapy ranch. It's Echo Ranch. It's an amazing place. They get dinner. They get to just get away from their neighborhoods. Maybe some of you out there, I know there's some people out there who say that model is so important for the youth and for our future, and this darkness of sexual exploitation is so dark. There are people who can give $7,500 to finance an entire design studio for a whole year. Now, these are the examples that have started in Portland and grown, but we know it's growing. How is it growing? In 2018, we stepped out in faith to boldly share these models and the vision and values with more leaders. Our goal was simple: to see local leaders in different regions utilize the existing tools that we had created, innovate around new models that they create in their own communities, and that they would spread the vision of unity and compassion. We aimed to launch one new regional epicenter each year starting in 2019. I'm excited to share just a brief update on our first epicenter, the amazing team in Arizona. They continue to grow and serve with incredible sacrificial love. Even through COVID, they had so many families that they were serving door to door. They've served 339 families this year alone. This amazing group. In January 2020, the second epicenter launched. That's the PUGET Sound Epicenter. They are doing Adorned in Grace, anti-exploitation work, and then just 3 weeks ago, they boldly launched their first ever compassion clinic in Tacoma. It was a powerful and safe experience that will continue to have kingdom ripple effects. There are plans, this is brand new, it's like breaking news. We put the news banner up now, breaking news. There's a new epicenter about ready to get started in the Boise, Idaho region in January 2021. As they've caught the vision, they've been serving well. There's a great team there. They've been doing clinics, and now they want to grow. They want to spread it throughout that area of Idaho. I continue to follow the Lord in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area with open hands. I've been encouraged and challenged by the opportunities and the hurdles. Most recently, was very encouraged. I was invited into a pastor's gathering in the neighborhood where George Floyd was killed, because those churches, they want help praying together, uniting, and serving together. And they asked me to come and just serve them. I also helped start and lead a collaborative of anti-exploitation organizations and churches. It's called Restore Honor. The website's right there. Check it out. It's really cool. Now, to wrap it up, I remain calm and confident that we're being faithful to what we've been called to do. I remain incredibly thankful for the thousands of volunteers and dozens of churches who humbly live out these realities every day, and for the business partners who see the community value of this kind of work. I'm asking for your partnership in this journey. Through the remainder, we're looking to get through the end of 2020 and start strong in 2021. Every single one of you watching right now, you must know that you have an important role. You matter. And together, we will continue serving, inspiring, and equipping. This is an important moment right now to take a step and make a difference with your financial resources. I'm asking you straight up to give generously towards this mission. It's a mission that is essential in these divisive times. As you've heard tonight, we have some simple ways to give. You've seen ideas, just some examples of our needs. You've seen the options to give. You can text to give right now, 503-479-4591. Just put in the dollar amount and then click the link that comes as a reply to your text. You can also go directly to compassionconnect.com/donate. For those of you who are gathering in person, you also have just giving envelopes that you can fill out. If you do that and you fill out an envelope right now and you want your donation counted towards the goal tonight and the match, please just text the number on your envelope and just send an anonymous text with the amount, and we'll add it to the thermometer. In a moment, I'm just going to pray over this time. And then we're going to hear a final song from Michael Allen Harrison to give you all time to consider, talk with whoever you need to talk with, or just be at peace and consider making a generous donation to this mission. And after that, stay tuned, because we're going to announce our raffle winners and just wrap things up. But before I do that, and before I just give you a couple minutes to take a breath and pause and make a donation, I just want to thank you for participating with us tonight. In an unusual setting, in unusual times, we find hope in the reality of a loving God who knows and loves each of us perfectly for such a time as this. Lord, I thank you that you are good and gracious, that you love us perfectly, that you love us in the midst of confusion, the midst of anxiety, depression, whatever it is that everyone is facing who's listening to this right now. Lord, you are enough. And so we turn to you. We ask, Lord, for peace. We ask for favor. I ask for provision. And Lord, I ask that a great just spirit of joy would fall over everyone who is participating right now and who will watch this later. We thank you for your graciousness and mercy and love in each of our lives. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.